Welcome back in here to the March Madness segment. I'm Ethan Spozarski. I'll be your host for the West part of our March Madness bracket. And to my left, I have Joey Chirillo and Cole Keller joined with me. Gentlemen, are you ready to discuss the madness?
Yeah, why wouldn't I? Yeah, of course I am. Why wouldn't I be here?
That's a very good point.
I was slacking a little bit this year. Last year, I did the whole conference tournament. That's how serious I was taking March Madness last year. I was slacking a little bit this year. I only did some conference brackets, but I'm really excited for it.
Well, I guess we'll take you. I guess we'll make it work. But either way, gentlemen, let's get into it. So last night, we decided we have our entire West bracket set up. Wagner did defeat Howard. Therefore, they will face the number one seeded Tar Heels. So we'll just start at the top there. I mean, discuss with me, how do you think that game's going to go? What direction it's going in?
I mean, North Carolina is going to be on top. You can't really argue that. Wagner was 3 shots away from losing that game. Howard had 3 3-pointers that they tried to attempt. They couldn't get it in. So that was Howard's own fault. But Wagner was right there. They were on the cusp of losing that game. So North Carolina, they've just been stellar this entire season, 81.5 points per game. So you can't really argue it, especially if you've seen R.J. Davis out on that court. I think Tar Heels are going to pull this one out.
There's nothing more I could say. I totally agree with him. I'm not going to argue over that. There's no way that Wagner wins.
Yeah, Wagner, great performance. They had 2 separate times where they were up at least 13 or more points over Howard. However, Howard, a team that's made the NCAA tournament the last 3 years, has really shown that they can be a very strong team. However, I do think North Carolina runs away with this. They were a very dominant team. Don't let the NC State loss in the ACC championship fool you. This team's very good. R.J. Davis is very lethal. He shoots 43% from the floor. Incredible player. ACC Player of the Year. That's enough said on that front. Now, a much more close matchup that I'm actually really interested in. Mississippi State, the 8 seed, takes on Michigan State, the 9th seed. Michigan State has now been in the with head coach Izzo in there. 26 straight years has been here in the dance. Cole, we'll start with you. What do you like about this matchup, and who do you think wins?
I'm just going to say flat out, I think Mississippi State runs away with it. I don't think Michigan State's as dominant as they've been in the past few years. So I just think Mississippi State just gets ahead, puts their foot on the gas, and never lets off. And they just run right through Michigan State.
Yeah, I'm disagreeing with him on that. Michigan State has had a better performance all season. They are better in the top 25 category and their overall conference category. And then at their points per game, they're only 0.3 behind Mississippi State. So this is going to be a game to watch. I think this is the game to watch in the West Conference for this round of 64. But Michigan State, although they're the 9, it's only 1 less than Mississippi State at 8. I think Michigan State's going to pull it out. Plus, Michigan State just has better fans. So
better fan. I don't think I've ever heard that as of something, especially in neutral territory in this situation. However, I'm going to agree with Joey in this situation. I think Michigan State I think they can win this game. The 3-point shooting and the free throw shooting is better than Mississippi State, and I think an aspect of the game that's always looked at is the free throws. Those are free points. No one can interfere with you in that situation. You make the 1-on-1. It opens up a lot of opportunity. I as well will take the Spartans to win on and move on here. Now, I don't think they make a deep push. However, they do beat Mississippi State here early on. Next up, we have St. Mary's versus Grand Canyon. Joey, your thoughts?
St. Mary's is my favorite here. They've been my favorite as I've gone through this entire process of watching this college basketball season. St. Mary's has blown me away. Although they have had 7 losses, which is not great, especially in this college basketball atmosphere going into the playoffs. At that number 5, they've been playing great. They're 2-1 against the top 25, and their 15-1 conference record kind of speaks for itself. You've only had 1 loss, and it's just been stellar what they've seen. And I think this is another game to watch. I don't think it's the game like Mississippi and Michigan, but over Grand Canyon, although I think it's going to be a close game, I think St. Mary's is going to pull it out.
I love Grand Canyon, but I can't just get behind them. I think St. Mary's runs away with it. I think the WAC or the WAC or the WCCC, forgive me, I think it's like the West Coast version of the Big East, basically, with Gonzaga, St. Mary's, San Francisco, all of those schools. And I just think St. Mary's they're too dominant. They play too good of basketball. They play in too good of like a basketball conference to lose this game.
Yeah, I'll have to side with you guys on that one. St. Mary's a very defensive team. They're ranked in the top 20 of all of these D1 teams that are playing in the tournament, while, Grand Canyon's out in 50th. I mean, there's a really big difference there. Granted, size of school, all those different aspects of things, but I'll take it with you. St. Mary's, I mean, they defeated Gonzaga, won the Western Conference here, so I think they really got a good run and a really good reason that they could make a somewhat of a push here into the tournament. So, continuing and moving on, Alabama, the 4 seed, will take on the 13th seeded Charleston. Again, another one of these matchups. I don't think it's going to be that close, but Cole, what are your opinions on the game?
Give me Bama. That's all. There's nothing really to it. I believe Charleston shoots a lot of threes, and when you rely that heavily on the three, you're kind of playing like a death wish game almost, or I don't know. It's just not a smart move to always rely on the three or always just depend on your whole offense being revolved around the three. So give me Bama.
I don't know. I don't like Bama. I've never liked Bama. I really despise them in every sport that they play, so I hate choosing Bama here, but I'm going to have to. Charleston just, like you said, three-point shooting, you can't just do that an entire game. We've seen that time and time again, and their top player that has their most points per game is 12.8, and Rayan Smith. 12.8 points per game, that's nothing. You have to have more players that are just up there in the 20s. So although Charleston does have a good conference record of 15-3, it's not a big spectacle, especially when you're going up against Alabama. So I'm going to take Alabama reluctantly, mainly because I just don't like them.
I alluded to it before, the free throw shooting. Alabama shoots 78% compared to a 72% for Charleston. Both teams, though, struggle in some of these big moments. Alabama 4-10 in the quad one games, and then Charleston only has 3 players that are averaging 10+ points per game. I think you need more of a depth in this situation. Now, granted, Wagner made an example of that you don't. You only need 7 players to win a real basketball game. However, in these big-time moments, I will take Bama. I agree with you. It gets tiring after a while, like the New England Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs. After a while, it gets annoying to watch them win all the time. But Alabama probably, and I agree, will win this first-round matchup. A new matchup here that I think actually is interesting situations here. New Mexico, the 11th seed, will take on Clemson, the 6th seed. Clemson, one of 5 ACC teams to make it to the dance this year. And New Mexico is as well making a push there as one of 6 Mountain West schools. I think this could be a very interesting matchup.
I think we're going to agree on this one. New Mexico.
Yeah.
Give me New Mexico. Mainly also because we see Clemson all the time in these scenarios. They're always good in football. They're always good in basketball. They've been good in baseball as of recent. So, again, kind of the same thing with Alabama. I don't love seeing them. But New Mexico's been exciting to watch. These past couple of games that I've seen them play, they've been really exciting on that offensive and defensive side. So I'm going to take them in this one. A 10-8 conference record, I think, shows. And Jalen Hounts and Jamal Moshburn, have been just playing absolutely incredible. So give me New Mexico.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think there's any way that New Mexico loses this game. Clemson, I believe they lost to NC State in the ACC tournament. Am I correct?
I believe
so. I believe so.
Yeah.
And New Mexico, they won the Mountain West. I think that's that. This might sound a little crazy and unrealistic, but I have New Mexico in the Elite Eight or Final Four. I mean.
Wow.
That is a bit of a
bold
take. Although, now granted, the last 3 years we had a 15 seed, I believe, traveled to the Sweet 16 in the last 3 years. So it's not an outrageous take. New Mexico, a reminder, is the 11 seed over at Clemson, who was a 6 seed. So this is indeed an upset. It would be considered one. NC State finished, or excuse me, not NC State, New Mexico finished as one of 2 teams with a winning streak in their conference. I think it's very fair to say that they can win this game. Clemson is ranked 6th in the ACC, and they made it over. I'll be a little salty here. They made it over a Pitt team who was ranked 4th in the ACC, who I think in this case had more of a reason to be in. But that's besides the point. I do think New Mexico, though, does win this matchup. So a first real big upset so far here on the west side. Moving on now, we move on to Baylor, the team that won the dance here in 2021. They're the 3 seed. They will take on to the toothpaste brand Colgate at the number 14 seed. Cole, what's your take on this game?
Baylor. That's all. Baylor just wins it. I don't think, and it's not that Colgate isn't a bad team, but it's the level of competition. You know, Baylor plays in the Big 12. Colgate plays in some conference, but they play in a conference that is Division I basketball, but they're not going to beat Baylor, unfortunately. So we won't have that upset there. But I do think that I will have, I foresee an upset in the next 2 games that we're going to cover.
I feel like I always see Baylor and Colgate in these March Madness brackets. I mean, every year I just look at them like, oh, look, toothpaste.
Toothpaste.
And then I see Baylor, I'm like, oh, man, I know they're green. I know RG3 went there, but I don't really know much else about these teams. I'm going to go Baylor just because they're 3, and I know that they were the 2021 champs. Colgate, although they've been playing good, they're defeated in all their teams that they've played that are in the top 25, and 16-2 conference record. I mean, it's cool and all, but again, like you said, what conference are they even in? So I'm going to take Baylor.
Yeah, Baylor, again, in almost every aspect, they're playing better than Colgate right now. I think if you have they have 7 players with 10-plus points per game, 5 players that are shooting 30+% from outside the arc, 3 of which in that are shooting 40+%. To me, this is probably one of the easiest picks to make. Baylor is a very good team. I've seen they played really well against Houston, pushed them and beat them in overtime or contested with them. I really think that is a fair statement. So Baylor definitely makes a push here in the West. Now, 2 of our final top remaining games here, again, are not that close in my opinion. Dayton, the number 7 seed, will take on number 10, Nevada. I think, personally, Nevada here definitely runs away with this game in a sense. Again, another upset. It's still very close in seeds, but I think Nevada runs away with this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think Nevada's going to run away with this one. I think this one is going to be another game to watch, along with that Mississippi State, Michigan State game. Nevada's just been really fun to watch, especially as an offensive kind of team. They've played really well, 76.4 points per game so far. It's been really fun to watch them. Lucas going 17.8 points per game, and pretty much in this late kind of season, he's been getting up there with those 20 numbers. So yeah, Nevada all the way.
I completely agree. I think Nevada's going to win this game, and I think Dayton would have a little bit more of like a pickability, but they had a great regular season. The A-10 tournament rolls around, gets swashed by Duquesne. And I think that sold me for Nevada to win this game completely. Dayton
0-1 against top 25 teams this year. To me, Nevada is definitely up there. They are not ranked right now, but I do think they could make a push as well. 14-2 outside the Mountain Western Conference. I think that says as much as we know. And then finally, rounding out the first round before we dig into more of our picks and deeper into who wins the West, is the number 2 seeded Arizona versus the 15 seeded Long Beach State. I think Arizona wins by 30 points. You can quote me on that, guaranteed. Arizona, a very dominant team. I don't see any reason why they would lose. I think for a lot of people in their brackets, they make it to at least the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. Gentlemen, agree or disagree with that?
Okay, hold up. I have a statistic. In the past 3 years, a 15 seed has made it to the Sweet 16. What other 15 seed do you think can make it to the Sweet 16 this year? Looking at the bracket, because I only think that the only one that is possible is possibly Long Beach State. Even though they don't have a coach technically, they don't technically even have a coach, I still think that they'll beat Arizona.
I'm sorry, that's arguably I could not disagree more. I'm sorry, you have to beat. It's like for West Virginia, if they win, they got to face Caitlin Clark. Like that's just not going to happen. Like on the women's side of the bracket. That's just not going to happen. That's like saying they're going to make a push if anybody's going to push. There's no way Long Beach State wins. I mean, they have one player averaging 10-plus points a game. There's no way.
Yeah, there is a way. And you know that way is because they don't actually have a coach. That's the funny thing. The coach got fired. One is now in March Madness. And you know what sports fans love? A great storyline. You know what Taylor Swift fans love? Seeing her win the Super Bowl. It's all going to be rigged. And I'm telling you right now,
there's no way you just brought Taylor
State,
Swift into March Madness. That's actually a crime.
Yeah, I did. Long Beach State is going to win this game against Arizona. They don't have an actual coach.
All right.
It would be great to see them move on. And it would just be another thing because what other story is going to be
I'm cutting you off.
Wait.
I'm cutting you both off. We're moving on to the second round.
What about Farley Dixon and Purdue? What would you have said?
I'm moving on to the second round. I'm not answering or justifying you with a response. So
Long Beach State all the way.
With the second round, as it is, as of right now, for me, I think North Carolina would push whoever they play in Michigan State or Mississippi State. I think St. Mary rolls through Alabama if they were to play them. I think that's just a fair statement to have. With New Mexico playing Baylor, very good matchup. I think arguably that could be the round 2 game to watch. I do think Baylor wins, though. I mean, just with what they've been doing. But I think that game could go to overtime. That would be a very close matchup, enjoyable game. And then finally with Nevada and Arizona, again, the big school prevails here. I think Arizona has every reason to be there. I don't know why there's such a disconnect here on Arizona.
No.
If Long Beach State played Nevada, you think they'd beat them?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but
Maybe
the team
because
as
of that
depleted as
storyline.
they are, with a team that just doesn't shoot well overall and has one player with 10 plus points, it absolutely blows my mind. But otherwise, in the second round, is there anything that stands out to you guys? Is there a game to watch? What's your opinion on it?
Like you said, that New Mexico-Baylor game, I think, is a game to watch. I think it's going to come down to an overtime game. And I think New Mexico is going to pull that win out over Baylor. I think that's one of those games that we're going to see that's going to be a bigger upset. Excuse me. But, yeah, I agree with you. North Carolina moving on. St. Mary's moving on. I have Nevada beating over Long Beach, but I still think Long Beach is getting there.
Yes, so just like both you said, I have North Carolina advancing and I have St. Mary's advancing because Bama eventually has to be frauds at some point in time. And then I have New Mexico beating Baylor, so I'm going to disagree with you there, Spose. And then
That I can understand in some respect, but these outrageous takes, man.
And then-
I'm sorry, if you have a palm tree as your logo, like your main logo, I'm not
So
taking
what's
this seriously.
wrong with South Carolina? South Carolina has a Palm Beach as their flag.
That's a flag. I said it's a team logo.
Well, that's a team. That could be a team logo.
No, it's not.
It could be.
it could be.
It's a secondary logo for the Panthers, but it's not. That's hockey. I'm talking main logo in basketball. Where you can put a Palm Beach in a basketball court? Are you serious?
Yeah, right in the middle.
Right in the middle. He's gonna take the tip. Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my God. All right. I can't take you seriously.
The coconuts of the basketballs.
The cookies, the
Yes.
basketball. I can't believe this is a conversation.
Yes.
The fact that and Taylor Swift got brought up is absolutely insane to me. All right, Final Four coming out of the West. North Carolina, St. Mary, Baylor, Arizona. Those are my Final Four coming out of the West. I think that's just those powerhouse schools. I don't think there's any disagreement across the board there. It's about time we had some sort of agreement here on the Final Four. But who is your West winner and why?
New Mexico.
I'm gonna disagree with you on
Grit
that one.
and momentum.
No.
That is my whole reason.
You did not
Eventually,
just
there
say
has to be
momentum.
a
It's a red
crazy
pen, that's
upset.
why.
Eventually, there has to be a crazy upset. Purdue's going to
my
lose
God.
to Utah State, and that's going to be. People are going to say that's a crazy upset, and it's not, because Purdue is always a choke, always. Like I said earlier in the year, they are the Dallas Cowboys of college basketball.
I mean, I guess.
All right, I can't argue with that. I like that take. I'm sorry, but you have Zach Edey and we'll go back in time. Aaron Rodgers stepping up to the plate, and then the playoffs come around and you just choke around first, second round. I understand that history has proven itself there. Joe, who's your winner of the West?
It's hard to say. I'm going to say St. Mary's here. St. Mary's has been one of those really grittier teams when they get into this March Madness era, and I think St. Mary's is going to pull it out. I really wish that the final within the West was North Carolina, St. Mary's, because I think they're the better teams throughout this entire area, and I wish that was our final there, but unfortunately it's not going to work out like that. St. Mary's, they're going to beat over North Carolina, and then whoever they face, whether it's Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Long Beach State, whatever.
It's not Long Beach. It sounds like a team straight out of All-American. Like, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen.
No, but I think St. Mary's is going to move on. They're going to go to the final.
All right. For me, call me generic, but if it's probably going to be the Tar Heels here. I don't see why UNC couldn't make it here. If it isn't them, I think it's Arizona. I watched Arizona play against Oregon. A very dominant game, very dominant fashion. I really like the game, but I do think the Tar Heels make a push here. They're redeeming themselves from last year, a bit of an embarrassing year, not like them, but really rebounded this year. And I mean, Hubert Davis, ACC Coach of the Year, exceptional coach, really making a name for himself here. I think the Tar Heels do come out of the West as our champions. Gentlemen, do you have any final comments for the good of the order?
I mean, I genuinely think it comes down to three teams, and that's New Mexico, St. Mary's, and North Carolina. And that's who will win. Out of those three teams, that's who will win the West. So
I'm going to have to agree with them on that side. And I think that St. Mary's, if they get to that Final Four, they have a really solid chance of getting to that championship. And, of course, if they get to that championship, whoever they're facing on this side, I think the only other teams that could face them would be Purdue. And I think they'll lose pretty early on. And maybe like Texas or something that could beat them if they get through. So I think if St. Mary's gets to that championship, they're going to win it.
All right, gentlemen. Now we just sit and wait. As of Thursday and Friday, we will start to get our answers, but we don't want you to go anywhere just yet. Make sure you watch the rest of this episode that's coming up next. For the South, we'll see Spencer Ferteri, Michael McKenzie, and Tyler Zeman.
Jacket Sports Weekly, where you can find everything Waynesburg University sports. Tune in every week to our panel as they take a deep dive into Waynesburg sports. We cover everything from football.
Turning around is Isaac Trout. Did he get the feet down? We will wait for the mark. And they call it a touchdown.
To basketball.
Ball. Got it! We're all tied up!
To softball.
Max this one. Left field. Kiss it goodbye.
Stay up to date with all your favorite Waynesburg University sports with us at Jacket Sports Weekly.